Okay, so Steve already went over the Wi-Fi. Again, PhoneGap, PhoneGap. So I'm here to officially kick off PhoneGap Day EU 2016. Thank you all so much for coming. It's great to see you folks here. If you need to get in touch with me, just use MACDONALD on Twitter. Feel free to ask me any questions. And as Steve said, we're using the hashtag PGDay. We're really in a fight with the Postgres conference, so you really do lots of tweets with that hashtag today. We want to steal it back from them. So as we get into today, what I really want to talk about is how PhoneGap is not cool anymore. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And all of you here should be okay with that as well. So that might seem weird coming from somebody who works on the PhoneGap team, but it'll make sense. So you're in the JavaScript community. There's a lot of hype. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen an image like this or something quite similar to it, where it seems like there's always a new JavaScript framework being released every day. This is a really great image. My other favorite one is where Homer Simpson has Lenny and Carl behind him, and they're just taking the sign down from the accidents. But I'm sure if you looked today, somebody has released a Webpacking Gulp React hot loading Angular 2 thingy, so you could probably start using that today in your workflow. So there's this thing, it's called the hype cycle, and it was coined by Gartner, but it's very true. Whenever any new technology comes out, you can pretty much track this. So the first thing that happens is you have some sort of technology trigger. So for hybrid development, that came in July of 2008 when iOS 2 was released. So the big deal with that, it was the first time that we were able to use UI WebView. So that allowed us to instantiate a web view inside our applications, and it's basically what has made hybrid development possible. And then after that, of course, Android followed suit with their web view. And many years later, we now have slightly better web views and Chromium web views and the WebKit web view on iOS. So the next thing that happens is we come to this peak of inflated expectations. That's where people think that this new technology is going to solve absolutely every problem they've ever had in their life, and it will get up the next morning and make them coffee too. So for PhoneGap, that was probably as early as 2009, where at the O'Reilly Web Summit 2.0, PhoneGap won an award for being the most favored new thing that was shown there by everybody who attended. So at that point in time, a lot of people just thought, this is great. I'm going to go home. I'm going to wrap my website in a PhoneGap container, and I'm going to have an application. So that was great. They thought, oh my God, I'll never have to learn Objective-C. This is the best thing ever. And of course, those inflated expectations are always followed by the trough of disillusionment. That's where people get disappointed that this new technology isn't the silver bullet that solves every problem they've ever had, and it makes a really bad cup of coffee. So for PhoneGap, that pretty much came right out of the bat when people were trying to wrap their websites as hybrid applications, and the App Store was just rejecting them. In fact, they have a section specifically for it. It's section 2.12, and it's apps that are not very useful, unique, or are simply websites bundled as apps or do not provide any lasting entertainment value will be rejected. So a lot of people were thinking oh, dang, I actually have to do something in order to make an application. So that's where a lot of disillusionment came in. But luckily, that's followed by me hitting the button in the wrong direction, the slope of enlightenment. And for us, that is pretty much where I came on board. It was in 2010. I was working for IBM, now Microsoft, at the time. And a lot of bigger companies like IBM, like Adobe, like Microsoft, like Google, like Research in Motion, which became BlackBerry, which became, I don't know, are they still around? I feel bad for them, sorry. They're a Canadian company too. But these larger companies came onto the project and really saw the value of being able to do this cross-platform hybrid development, and they put a lot of resources into it. And things were getting better and better over that time. And then finally, we get to what is called the plateau of productivity. That's where we can really concentrate on getting things done, and that's where we are right now. And I, for one, am pretty happy to be in this thing. I don't need to be the #1 result on Hacker News every morning. I'm quite happy with just coming in and getting lots of stuff done and making it possible for people to build applications. So we're at a point now where a business like Amazon or Walgreens, which is a giant pharmaceutical company in the United States, are building applications. But besides that, this whole day is about community. So it is called PhoneGap Day, but there should be like an addendum, the Apache Cordova conference, because it doesn't matter if you're using PhoneGap or if you're using Cordova, or if you're using Ionic or Telerik or Monaca or any of the other platforms that are on the Apache Cordova ecosystem. We want to celebrate that today. And in saying that, here's a few people who've built businesses off of PhoneGap and have had some major successes in just the last 6 months. So Untapped is one of our favorite applications. It's kind of elevator pitch is the Facebook of beer. You check into whatever beers you're drinking and you can rate it and it'll get back suggestions. So our friends Greg and Tim were able to merge their company with another one called NextGlass, and they are now working full-time on Untapped. So they're concentrating on bringing all of this goodness to their 3 million users, and they are longtime members of the Cordova community. Another big one is Workit. So I have to say congrats to Ben, Greg, and Ryan, who recently went on a television program in the States, and were able to get $1.5 million for 10% of their company, so you can pretty much work out the valuation of their company yourselves now. And so they're able to, again, take this and make it their full-time job. And as well, they have a new team member. And I'm sure Ryan would be here today, except for their first child was born about a week ago. So if he was here, we would be buying him plenty of drinks. But he's not, so next time. And of course, Ionic. Congrats to Max, Ben, and the rest of the Ionic team who were able to get $8.5 million in Series A financing. That is a fantastic win and another validation of hybrid development. So, taking a look back at 2016, what have we actually done in the PhoneGap community? On the desktop side, I think if you were around last year, we were announcing the desktop application. So for people that aren't really comfortable with the command line, you would have an application that you could run on Mac and Windows that would be a graphical-based interface for you to create and run PhoneGap applications. So we've continued to work on that. Major roadmap items, we're moving from Node WebKit to Electron. So that's given us the ability to put it into the Mac App Store and do updates. It's been great. As well as support for the browser platform. So now you can actually start the browser platform from the desktop app and do a lot of your application development and testing before you even get it onto a phone. On the mobile app, we continue to update all the plugins when there's a new plugin release, so we want to stay current with that. But at the same time, we've added some new functionality. The Bluetooth Low Energy plugin was put in there for PhoneGap Day US so that Don Coleman could run a workshop. So that's a very popular plugin. People are using that. As well, the push capability, we added that in recently, as well as an update to the PhoneGap CLI. That will allow you to not have to go through the trouble of setting up your Apple push certificates, not having to set up your Google project. So you can actually use the developer app and use the service that we wrote in order to test push. Now, you can't use this in production, but it really removes that barrier of entry for you to get started. So if you actually come to my push workshop tomorrow, I'll go over how it's going to work. And just this week, with the 1.7 release, we put in the augmented reality plugin from Wikitude, and hopefully later today, you'll all be able to get to see a demo of that. So on the website, we continue to improve it. We've gone through a redesign of the website itself. We're trying to make it more clear, be able to get you the information that you want and you need much easier, and we're continuing to add tutorials to it as well. On the Cordova side, we continue to embrace Node and move more towards package.json. So Steve has landed a very big commit in Cordova recently that is going to make it a lot easier to fetch plugins. So we're moving towards that wholeheartedly. Shaz is going to end the day talking a lot about what's happened in the Apache Cordova community, so I'm not going to steal a lot of his thunder. So on the desktop app itself, our next release will be creating applications using templates. So you may or may not be aware from the command line, you can actually specify a template, which can be a Node package or a Git repo, and that will pull down that application for you and use it as the starter app. So that will get you going a lot faster than the flashing Cordova devices ready app that you see whenever you just create a regular application. As well, we're going to be able to do building from the desktop app as well. On the mobile side, we're going through right now a redesign of the entire UI, and we want to make discoverability a lot easier. So when you're using the mobile app right now, you come in, you have to type in an IP address. It's kind of a pain. Of course, on mobile, you know, typing in an IP address is horrible. And then when iOS forces everybody to go to IPv6, nobody wants to type in those addresses. They're about 18 miles long. So we're going through that refresh right now, and hopefully we'll have that out pretty soon. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of 2016. We've got some fantastic things planned. If any of you here are native developers and you've always wanted to just easily add hybrid technologies to your applications, that's one of the things we'll be focusing on for the rest of the year, is being able to take a Cordova web view and just have it embedded into your application easily. So we're going to be rolling that out on Android and iOS sometime this year. But I do have a confession to make. And to prove that I'm Canadian, I'm going to do this as Canadian as possible. It's like, oh, geez, buddy, I'm really sorry, but I lied, okay? So that is like all of the Canadian stereotypes all in one thing. So yes, I'm sorry, I lied to you. I do still think PhoneGap's cool. I really wouldn't get out of bed in the morning and work on this and achieve pants if I didn't think it was cool. Why do I think it's cool? Because I really do get to work with a great group of people at Adobe. Between IBM and Adobe, I worked at a startup for a while, and that didn't go over really great, so I was more than happy when the chance came to jump into Adobe and work with all of my friends. But besides the team, there's the greater Apache Cordova committers. So this is a picture from a recent face-to-face meetup we had at Microsoft. Again, great bunch of people. Very, very happy to be able to meet Carrie Schatz for the first time. I kind of have internet known her for years, and we're very happy to have her speaking today, and in fact, she'll be up next. And besides that, the community around Cordova is just fantastic. And I mean, I think we're going to prove that today with this conference that we have. And at PhoneGap Day US in Salt Lake City, we had a great time. And honestly, I wish we could have brought every last speaker that we had from Salt Lake City here so that you could get a chance to hear some of those talks because they were fantastic. Sadly, there's this thing called budget, and we had to make some tough decisions. But one person that we did take over was Dean Haddock, who is going to do his presentation again, and I think you're really going to love what Dean has to say. But besides that, we have a fantastic lineup of speakers here. I don't want to take anything away from our European contingent. But also, one of the other talks I'm really looking forward to, and I hope that he actually makes it here from Lagos, is Sani Yusuf, who's going to be talking about using hybrid technologies to enable Nigerian developers. So I think that is going to be an amazing one. We've pushed him to later in the afternoon so that he has plenty of time to get here. All right. So one of the things that Michael Brooks talked about in the PhoneGap Day US was that you need to make the most of your time here. You really have a unique opportunity to speak to the people who work on the platform. Anytime that there's a break, corner somebody, talk to them about, a problem that you have, or just have hallway conversations. It's amazing what can get done at conferences like this. Back in PhoneGap Day US, I was on a bus traveling between the hotel and the venue, chatting with another one of the attendees, found out some of the problems that he had in an application, and we were able to solve some of them and get them into Cordova proper for him. So, if you talk to people, things will happen, and we love to talk to you. So please, find any of the speakers, corner us, grab a cup of coffee, and let's just chat about stuff. So that's pretty much it for me. I want to thank all of you for coming here, and enjoy the day.